How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about The Bates Haunting from 2012. This is directed by Byron Turk and stars Jean Louise O'Sullivan, both of whom actually have producer credits. So hey, good to see that the people involved have better control of the project. That's kind of weird, the actor and director both having producer credits. This is DVDs put out by 4 Digital Media, who does a lot of, the direct-to-DVD stuff you see at Walmart. This one, if you watch my Dollar Tree hauls, I picked this up in a Dollar Tree video, and in that video I mentioned, oh, hey, this looks like a mockbuster. You got The Bates Haunting, the Bates Motel, obviously the setting from Psycho, and haunting is a really common copyright-free word. You get movies like The Haunting or The Haunting in Connecticut that, were big mainstream movies that popularized this word, but seeing as how you can't copyright that, a bunch of low-budget movies have done The Haunting of this, The Haunting of that, and, there's a whole string of them. You can collect them if you want. So at first I thought this was going to be just a mockbuster, but I was told in the comments that the title it gets is actually from a real-life haunted hayride. The Bates Motel and Haunted Hayride is an actual place. Like, you can get up, go there right now if you want. So, kind of a mockbuster in the title, but not really, because they are talking about an actual place. But yeah, not really, like, none of the plot tries to mirror Psycho. There's like one reference to the movie in this whole thing, and it's a haunted hayride movie, not a psychological thriller or anything like that. Let's just dive right into the plot. I won't do any spoilers, but I will try to give you guys the basics so you can understand this movie and know what you're getting in for. This movie's about a girl, and she goes to the Bates Motel and Haunted Hayride because her boyfriend works there and her best friend also works there. She gets on the very first hayride of that night, and her best friend is playing this sacrifice victim. They're in this scene apparently sacrificing her to a big dragon. Think like the King Kong scene where she gets sacrificed, but instead of King Kong, it's a dragon, and the dragon's blowing fire out of his nose, but the fire accidentally goes too far, burns the structure she's on, and her friend burns to death. Now, this has left her really sad and unstable. She gave the friend a necklace before she died, and now through the whole movie she's going to be wearing the burnt-up version of that necklace around her neck. The movie cuts to 1 year later, and she's just gotten fired from her job at a pizza shop. Her life's not doing too well. She's upset, she can't hold a job, she can't get over her friend's death. Her dad's the sheriff, and he's not really happy with her wasting her life, doing nothing more than just hanging out with her stoner friend. And he says, look, most of the places in town won't hire you, but the Bates Motel and Haunted Hayride is like the last place that will. And he thinks it'd be good for her to help her process what happened if she stays over there for a while. So she's kind of forced into this job by her father. Now she's just managing the gift shop. She's not actually in the hayride too often, so maybe this will be processable. Maybe she can do it. She goes down there and she meets the characters, primarily the Bates family, the mom, dad, and most notably the son, Junior, who is a little weird, but overall friendly, and he just wants to have a good time and have a haunt where, you know, he scares people, and he has weird things like he doesn't wear shoes and he walks around this whole place barefoot. So a little off, but overall a friendly guy. You get other people like she meets the mechanic who worked on all the rides, including the dragon, and, you know, like an actor friend who, you know, has a really bubbly personality and just, you know, wants to, you know, have a good, like, he doesn't want to wear his mask because he wants, you know, credit, he wants people to see him, you know, so an interesting enough character there. But she gets invited to this bonfire, and it's sort of the night before the opening celebration. They all have this bonfire, and she decides to, while the group's there, sneak off and investigate that dragon that killed her friend. And while investigating, it kind of launches this suspicion that, you know, maybe more was to it. Maybe her friend's death wasn't an accident. And of course, this is kind of boosted by the fact that this year the killings are starting again. More and more people are dying in ways that seem like accidents or disappearing, but you think they're dead. And she is going to try to find the killer, you know, to sort out her friend's death. But yeah, so you really do, in this one, more than a lot of low-budget films, get behind your main character. It's actually kind of weird how so many low-budget films don't even think to focus on a character, and having a main character, a point-of-view character, with a simple quest you can get behind, you know, it's like, yeah, I get that. You want to solve your best friend's death. Let's go. And I really like her having a friend, you know, it's a best friend who's a guy, kind of a funny stoner character, but it's referred to several times. Not a romantic lead, just a friend. You know, there's actually no romantic lead in this movie, which was kind of refreshing. You know, you get her ex-boyfriend who still works at the park in this one. But, you know, to not force in a romantic subplot was nice, and to have these two characters that are just friends and you get to see a real and honest friendship between the two, that was nice as well. And I really did like the best friend character. But anyway, the whole movie is solve the mystery whodunit, but it is kind of weird, you know, like you look at a Sherlock Holmes or an Agatha Christie, and there's little bits and clues, and if you're paying attention, you can put it together and piece it and see who did the killing. If you're smart, you can figure out before the detective does. And here, it's really just vague whodunit suspicions. The mystery isn't fleshed out with, you know, real clues or a real way to piece it together. Just every now and then they suspect someone until the end of the movie. But it is kind of fun to guess who the killer is, you know, and not all slashers have the whodunit element, and a lot of them you know who did the killing right away, so it is kind of fun to go, maybe it's him, is he involved, is he not? You know, so there's a little bit of fun to have there, even if it's not the most fleshed out thing. But the cool and best thing about this movie is the fact that it's shot on a real location. You know, you can go and check out the Bates Motel and Haunted Hayride if you want to, and all these sets and stuff, seeing a real haunted house, it's a little more fleshed out and a little more detailed than, you know, you would expect, and it's fun to see a real haunted hotel in Hayride. I'm going to cover The House is October Built, if I haven't already. I'm not sure which order these episodes will go up in, but it's kind of similar to that, where in The House is October Built you got to see real stuff, and this one you do as well, even though it's just one location, and they could have played on it a little more, but it's still pretty fun. Although I do wonder, there's fictional versions of the Bates family, which that's their actual last name, that's how they get away with calling it this, But I do wonder, I'm like, how would you like to see like a fictional version of your family in a movie that's not the real version, the same last name, doing the job and living your life, but not you? I just thought that'd be kind of weird. But anyway, that being said, this is a low-budget horror movie, and it does have the typical low-budget trappings. For some reason, it has weird low-budget humor. I don't really understand this, but low-budget movies all have the same kind of weird, kind of off sense of humor. That's there too, and you know, every now and then you get a weird line delivery, like, it's a little, you know, could have done that a few more times, like a, you know, professional movie. They're like, get 23 takes of it, one of those lines will work out right. And then, of course, one of my things that kind of bug me is weird, low-budget movie logic, where every now and then a character will say something like, that makes absolutely no sense. You know, and low-budget movies just do this all the time, where every now and then characters will say lines like, what the heck do you mean? Like, there's one where after she investigates the dragon, she goes, why, only this one character is strong enough to turn the valve on the propane tank. I'm like, what the heck is up with that line? First of all, the propane tank was clearly going because the dragon was supposed to be breathing fire, so it's not a question of if it was off or on. You know, it doesn't matter if he turned the propane tank, but also, secondly, no. Anybody of relative strength can turn the valve on a propane tank, and if it's so stuck that only one guy at the farm is strong enough to do it, that's a pretty ridiculous standard. What if he didn't show up to work that day? Does the dragon just not breathe fire? I mean, this whole, like, it's supposed to be a clue and point you in one direction, but the idea that only one guy could turn the valve on this propane tank, it's weird low-budget movie logic, and you get things like this all the time. But if you're not familiar with low-budget movie trappings, then these things might catch you off guard. But if you are familiar with low-budget movies, you know stuff like this happens from time to time, and it's not as bad as a lot of other low-budget movies. And, you know, despite its flaws, it's still a pretty enjoyable watch, you know. A good movie where they go to a real haunted hayride, there's some cool scares and, you know, some cool stuff that happens. Now, not a movie that you have to go super out of your way for, but if you find it for cheap or streaming somewhere and, you know, you're fine with more low-budget stuff, then hey, it's fun to check out, a fun little trip, and, you know, it's not the best thing ever, but hey, it's a fun little watch there for those of you who are into this stuff. Now, if you're big film critics, yeah, you're not going to get much out of this, but, you know, horror geeks like myself, fun to put on, watch, and just to have a good time with this. But yeah, a pretty good low-budget horror movie with a real location. And, you know, characters you can get behind good enough. Hey, it's good enough. It's great. Not great, but it's good enough. Fun low-budget movie. But that being said, I do about 95% horror movies on this channel, so if that sounds like something you guys are interested in, I definitely recommend sticking around. To everyone who's watched this far, thank you for watching, and to everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping out the channel. I'll put a relevant playlist down at the bottom. This should be my Halloween playlist, which might not have too terribly much in it right now, but we are going to be filling it up with new Halloween videos all October long, and I'll get to more Halloween stuff very, very soon. Anyway, have a good day, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon.